Are you happy? Look at that smile. You're a great boy. You're a great boy. Oh, hear those birds singing? I'm still not over the fact that it's spring, that that's actually here. I'm still pretty much like completely enamored that I'm not gonna wake up to a 20-degree morning. I'm sorry for those of you in the frigid north that are still waking up to 20-degree mornings, but soon you'll have birds singing too. Hey bear, little shadow dog. It's been underfoot all morning. Y'all go in the feed store?
Gotta get all the feed squared away before Baker Creek.
Yep. Taking Zach with you?
Well, he's around, so might as well take him with me.
Y'all have fun.
All right. We'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah, right. My roses in the entryway have had the exact effect I was hoping for. When you walk past these, you just get a big whiff of beautiful rose smell. I actually really do not like artificial rose fragrance, like rose scented soaps and stuff like that. Do not care for that smell. However, the smell of actual roses on the bush, one of my favorite smells in the world. It's just so good, like a really good fragrant rose. Oh, so good. I love being able to walk through this gate and just be met with that fragrance. The one on this side is taking off so much faster than the one on the other side. So I'm getting a lot of questions about our garden bed fungi, which are all over all the stumps on our garden beds. Well, not all of them. The ones that are more stripped of bark, they don't have any mushrooms growing on them. But all the ones that still have bark are pretty well covered up in these mushrooms, which I believe are woodier mushrooms. That is what I've been told. And people keep asking me if I inoculated these logs or if, you know, we're eating these mushrooms. You can see over here, they're kind of spreading onto the bed. To answer the questions, no, we did not inoculate the logs. These are logs that we cut down from our woods whenever we built these beds. So we didn't do anything to them, we just pulled them out of the woods. And no, we haven't been eating these mushrooms. I don't know much of anything about wild foraging or fungus. I have no idea about mushrooms. I could spot a few of them and identify them confidently enough to eat them, like really distinctive ones. But until someone said something to us about these, it never even occurred to me to eat them, to be entirely honest. So if you have any information about these, if you know about them, I would be interested to learn. I would like to learn. So if you have any sort of like links about this or like identification or personal experience, please share, because we have a ton of them in our garden and I'd be interested to know more about it. I wish I could say that I was like cool enough to be like, yeah, we totally inoculated our logs so that we could be like ultra permaculture-y and use every aspect of our garden for production, but no, we didn't do that. We just cut the trees down and drug them out of the woods and they grew mushrooms all on their own. Mushrooms growing in your garden is usually a good sign though, because it's good to see happy, healthy, organic growth in a garden. One of my top priorities is to get my last tomato beds, this one and then the other two shorter ones, mulched before we leave for Baker Creek. This one I've got to finish planting a little bit. Daniel's bringing me some tomatoes this weekend when he gets here before we go out of town. So they're going to go in this space, and I have just a couple more to plug in, and then this bed's going to get some mulch as well. I just want to get all of these mulched before we go out of town. I've got some of my herbs planted, like this golden oregano, as well as my variegated lemon thyme over here. See, are these the same kind of mushroom, or are these different? Because these look a little different to me. And then these as well, these look a little different too. These are the ones that I definitely see most of. Oh, and look at these. Those are neat. Quick story time. I'm gonna stand here with the creek behind me so you guys can hear it, because I think it sounds really beautiful. Years ago, I lived in Knoxville, Tennessee when Jackson and Asher were really little. That's where Asher was born. We lived out there, and her dad worked at a prison. He was actually, they were building a prison in a town about an hour away from there in Wartburg, Tennessee. And one day I'd gone out to have lunch with him at his work and take the kids out, and we got there early, and so we had to burn some time. It was a tiny little town. And we drove back through the hills there, and I was just going for a drive. I love driving. That's like one of my favorite things to do. Like, I will take the long way. Driving with the windows down and music up on a beautiful day through country roads is like one of my, if I could choose to do anything in the world, like going for a drive is one of my favorite things. So this particular day had some time to burn, so I'm just driving through these hills, just kind of exploring this area. And I came upon a park. It was about this time of year. It was about May. It's spring, and it was a day much like today. Like, it was just this beautiful, moderate spring day with the birds chirping and a cool breeze blowing. And we came upon this park, and I got the kids out. It was just me and them there. And it was this mountain park, and it was so neat because, like, whenever we parked, like, one whole side of the park was this really like steep embankment, and then there was a creek that ran along the other side. We had to go over a bridge, and the trees were just filling out like the trees behind me are now, and they were that bright spring green. Everything was really lush. And I will never forget this particular day at this park. There were these swarms of butterflies, and the playground equipment had this like green moss kind of growing all over it, and it was much like today. It was just like, it had just freshly rained. There had been a lot of rain, and this creek was just gushing, and the trees were so full of life. And it was like this. Like, I'm noticing the mushrooms on the logs here, and it was like that. It was like everything, whether it was alive or not, was covered in life. Like moss and fungus and creepy crawlies. And I remember sitting there. My boys were way too little to appreciate the beauty of this, but I sat there by myself while my kids played on this park. I mean, their little booties were completely green with the moss, their knees, their hands. It was honestly just filthy. It was just so full of life and covered in dirt. And I sat there and I watched them play, and I was so completely wooed by this place and how absolutely vibrantly alive it was. Now, that was 10 years ago. I never went back. I never went back to that park because I was so afraid that if I went back and it was just a regular park, that I would never be able to get back what I had that day. And like, seriously, like, I've just, even now, like, I feel like this emotional response to how much life was in that, you know, rarely visited mountain park on a May afternoon 10 years ago. And I don't know, it's funny, like, I wrote an article about it once, and I'm sharing it with you guys now. And I don't know if there's any possible way for you to like feel the spark of life that I felt in that park that day. But on days like this, when I come out into my garden and I see things like mushrooms growing up the logs and creepy crawlies and butterflies flying around, and I hear the creek flowing, and I see the trees full of fresh new leaves, and it's almost like I get to have that a little bit here. It's really cool. It's really cool for me to share it with you. I wish there was a way for me to capture it better, but maybe with those words, maybe you can feel it a little bit too. Broody Mama is still sitting down there on her eggs, most of which are no good. I've decided to leave her down there until we get back from Baker Creek, and then I'll check the eggs again and see if any of them have any sort of development. And if not, I'm going to find some chicks, just some freshly hatched chicks, probably just a few. I probably won't give her a whole lot, and stick them underneath her so that she'll stop sitting, because her comb and wattles are getting really pale. It's very hard on them to sit. They put a lot into it, and so you don't want to let a hen just stay broody for a super long time, because they don't eat, they lose weight. It's just not good for them for a really extended period of time. I hate the fact that so many of those eggs were bad. It just really makes me sad. Isn't the spot behind the chicken yard pretty? Hey, Con. Hey, buddy. Oh, you big lug. You big lug. You're pets. Oh, you're a sweet boy. You're a sweet boy. Here's some more stivers.
Wyatt's
Hey, y'all.
admiring the roses.
Aren't they beautiful?
Well, the
gosh,
dog
they're
was
so
kind of sour, and we were in the goat.
We were in the goats.
Y'all were in the goats. So are you taking goats home?
Yeah.
Yeah. How many are you taking home?
2.
2. So the stivers are homesteading in Kentucky. I mentioned that yesterday, I think.
Yeah.
How much space do you guys have?
We ourselves have about 6 acres, and it's kind of split up in between 2 families. So our front yard isn't really used for much, but the backyard is all garden, animals.
And they do a big in-ground garden.
Yeah.
And then they just built raised garden beds actually out of firewood bundles, right? Really cool. I'll link that video down below because I know a lot of you guys really like frugal gardening tips. If you like our channel, I feel very confident that you're gonna like their channel. They're a lot like us in how they do things. And also they just have a really sweet family and a really sweet relationship.
Yeah.
I dig them. we really like hanging out with them, and I'm so excited y'all came
I am too.
visit with us.
It's really awesome to be here. Last night me and Zach were laying in bed. We were like, are we really here right now? This is so weird. But at the same time, it feels so normal and comfortable. It doesn't feel strange at all.
That's good.
It just feels like we're supposed to be here.
That's awesome.
Like this is what we should be doing every day.
We love it. Thank you guys so much for coming.
We love y'all. Thank you for having
Y'all
us.
definitely go check out the stivers. I'm sure you'll see more of them and some more videos because I think we're going to try to shoot a good bit today. But I wanted to make sure to tell you guys to go follow them. I think you'll love them too.
Thank y'all.
Hey, Nosy. I try to tell people how much he follows me. I don't think that they're like, he is my shadow dog.
Yeah.
Bear, he's such a good boy. To be fair, the first 6 months of his life, I had him on a leash. Like, he stayed with me all the time. And so I kind of did train him to do this as a puppy. I just kept him with me all the time. But he is my little shadow dog, and I adore him. My peas are putting off their blooms. These are the magnolia tendril peas. Look at that. Variegated leaves. There's a DINO pest in my garden. How do you stop these from eating the foliage of the broccoli? I think hand picking may be the only defense. Oh, now he's feasting on the kale. We were walking down here earlier and I was seeing several of the leaves look like this and I was like, what is eating these? Then I realized what was going on. It's like the middle of the night.
It is the middle of the night. It's not like the middle of the night.
Sometimes on the farm there are things that need to be done, but I'll forget about them until it's time to go to bed, and then I'm like, oh dang.
Oh,
And
dang.
you have to do the things. You can't just go to bed. This is farm life.
It's
So
true.
we have to move the quail eggs down.
Or we just don't do them, and then we
And
suffer the
things die,
consequences.
so we have to do them. So Maya's gonna go fill the thing up with water. So our button quail may be hatching while we're at Baker Creek. We're going ahead and moving them down, filling up the incubator, and I'm gonna talk to Lauren and Brandon, who are farm sitting for us this weekend, about how to keep an eye on these, and we'll get like the breeding area set up for them tomorrow. They actually may be best left in the incubator, do you think? Because they're tiny, and so I might have them just put some water and food in the incubator and keep the well, no, we need the heater runner, so we'd have to leave the heater running, because I've never actually brooded button quail before, and they're like minuscule, and so I'm a little nervous about having someone who's not used to brooding animals and taking care of chicks to do that. So I think I might just instruct them to leave them in the incubator, and we'll address it when we get home. They might not hatch until the day we're coming home. So here are the eggs. We're gonna turn the light off and see if we can candle any of these. show. You kind of see here where you can see the air cell on there. These eggs are tiny, so.
Some of them are not fertilized and some of them are. Check some of the bigger quails.
Some of ours.
Yeah. Go check the couple of them, see if they have anything
That one's good.
in. Yeah, I picked up 6 more eggs today.
Yeah. I figured we could load this up again.
Yeah.
So it looks like we've got, definitely have some baby button quail developing in there, as well as a few regular quail that I kind of threw in on a whim. Some of them were not, it looked like maybe they had died pretty early on. I didn't crack any of them open, but just from candling you can kind of see if there's how much development's going on. But I think I messed up with my incubator about day 3 or 4 of incubation. I came down and I had not thought about it, and we had turned the dehumidifier on in the basement, and the humidity was really, really low, and I was a little nervous that that might have caused some issues, and it may have. So I don't know. I think at the very least we're gonna get a handful of these button quail, which is really all we need anyway. They're just kind of a I'm looking at my they were just kind of like a, oh, they're tiny and I need them kind of thing, but I'm excited to see them hatch. I think they're gonna look like little birdie bugs, super tiny bugs. I think Maya just went over to talk to Zach and Jen. They're staying in the basement. The seed room is a wreck right now. I have to completely reorganize everything in here, but this is where the incubator is right now. Let's go see what they're doing in here in the middle of the night. The babies are sleeping. Are y'all watching us in our mess? This is weird.
I told us I'm gonna go upstairs and watch your videos. They're hanging out all day.
We could just hang out.
We gotta watch the video. Comment. Then I'll text you, maybe I'll watch it.
Watching Roots and Refuge in the basement of Roots and Refuge. We've had so much fun with our friends. It's fun to have friends come stay at your house. Grown-ups sleep over. It's so fun. Alright. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today. It is time for me to go to bed because Daniel will get here
Tonight.
in the
Well,
night.
technically in the morning.
Yeah, like the wee hours. We will wake up to Daniel being on our couch. And then my mom's coming over tomorrow to load her car. She's going to Baker Creek with us. Benjamin is going to Baker Creek with us. Farm sitter's coming to stay. And we're picking up Natalie from Hey It's a Good Life. She's flying in to go to Baker Creek.
And we're heading out tomorrow.
So we got a crew going. We're heading out tomorrow, so we get to meet you guys there. Several of you have sent me messages. I'm super pumped. I got people bringing me variegated plants.
Oh gosh. We're gonna bring some shirts.
Yeah, we're gonna bring some shirts to sell. So if you're gonna be at Baker Creek and you wanna buy one of our shirts from us, we will have those with us. Yeah, super excited.
Cool,
We should go to sleep.
Let's do it.
We bless you. Good night.